Welcome to Scary Basement. Each week, me and my friend Mikey are drawn inexplicably and supernaturally to this very basement, which is full of jars of eyeballs that continuously blink, haunted brooms, and a talking parrot. I'm Roxy Polk.
And I'm Mikey McCollor.
Now, Mikey, let's start out, as we always do, with the scariest things that happened to us this week. What went down in your life outside the scary basement that spooked you to your bones?
This is actually a real thing that happened to me. I have a friend who has children, which in and of itself is scary. They are always after something. They need money or Cheerios or something. That's a whole headache. But this friend of mine was telling me about how often her son sees ghosts. And then she told me a specific story wherein she took her son to a friend's house.
Okay.
And the friend said, "Mom, there is a little girl in the corner of this room and she won't stop looking at me." And then we found out from the mom's friend, oh yeah, a little girl died in that room. Wow. Real life haunting.
Real life haunting, Mikey.
We're used to hauntings here in the scary basement. It's almost old hat. We're kind of sick of all the ghosts that are around here. But to see a ghost out in the real world, I don't know. Spooked me in my bones.
So that child is a psychic that needs to be monetized immediately.
You immediately turned it into a business?
Yeah. Become a spiritual medium.
You're like a stage mom, but for ghosts. Honey, you need to go out there and communicate with that woman's husband. She has unfulfilled desires. And you need to communicate.
You know what, Mikey? I bet what really happened is that kid somehow heard about how there was a girl who died there and decided to make up a story to freak out your friend, his mom.
Okay, Roxy Downer. Great.
Or, it's a real ghost and she can monetize the hell out of that and he'll be the next big spiritual medium that people talk about for centuries.
No, you're right. The world is sad and gray. Roxy, what was the scariest thing that happened to you?
Wait, which one is more scary, if there is ghosts or if there isn't ghosts?
I am somebody who believes that the world is made better by the fact that there are ghosts, that there are werewolves, that there are cryptids, that there are Michael Myerses. I want those stuff to be real. We haven't talked about this on the show. This is like a big philosophy of mine. I want all that stuff to be real because if anything can happen, if there really is a Bigfoot and a vampire running around out there, then anything can truly happen. And therefore, what do I have to worry about when I ask this girl out on a date? What do I have to worry about when I ask my boss for a raise that I think I deserve? It's like, I don't know. He's probably going to say no. It's like, is it more likely that he'll say no? Or is it more likely that there's a sea beast in the lakes of the loch?
So you're just thinking about it in terms of mundane things instead of like, oh, maybe I could meet Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster then.
I'm thinking about the terms of possibility.
Okay.
If a Bigfoot is possible, it's definitely possible my boss will give me that raise.
I think, similarly, I wish those things were real, but I do not think they are real. But I would love to be proven wrong. That's my thing. I want to be proven wrong, and I want them to actually be real.
And you have been, here in the Scary Basement, every week.
I guess that's true.
All the dripping monsters and nail-ridden corpses.
Okay, well then I've been proved completely wrong, so hell yeah.
We did it. What was scary to you this week, Roxy?
The thing that scared me this week was a awkward encounter with new neighbors that were moving in. I want you to imagine a couple that would be on the cover of a magazine sitting on a picnic blanket with their dog in like shades in summer weather, just looking like they're posing.
Oh, like in Ordinary People magazine.
Yeah, yes. Looking like they're posing for a photo shoot. And then I go outside to check my mail looking like a fucking gremlin in my pajamas. And it's the first time I've ever seen them because they're moving in. And the mail didn't show up yet. So I have to check back 2 other times before it actually shows up. And each time just awkwardly wave and be like, oh, hi. Hi, yeah, I don't want to make eye contact with you. I look like a fucking ghoul right now. Please don't make this be my first impression and second and third impression of me.
Now, Roxy, do you think that situation would have been helped or hurt if each time you had a new riddle for them?
I mean, I think it would have made them remember me more and remember what I look like more. But then also maybe they'd be focusing on the riddle. So, I don't know. That's a good question.
I always have a riddle ready for when I make a new friend.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm learning new things about you every single time we do the podcast,
Roxy,
Mikey.
What's black and white and red all over?
Could it be a newspaper, Mikey?
No.
What is it then?
It's a bloody newspaper. I never got that riddle when the answer is just newspaper, because it's like, where is it red?
I thought you were going to say a bloody zebra at first, which bloody newspaper is a much better alternative.
Thank you.
All right, well, I think, wait, shit. DemonBot's here.
Mikey and Roxy, did you remember to watch the 2011 film Attack the Block, written and directed by Joe Cornish and starring John Boyega and Jodie Whittaker, or your soul's forfeit?
I watched it, Mikey, did you?
I did watch it. Yeah, we're okay.
Okay, good. Phew.
Then you may keep your souls.
Roxy, fist bump.
Hell yeah.
For now.
Again, you got me again, Mikey. You got both of us again.
You got it.
Did you arrogant mortals assume I should trust the word of a pair of organics? You must prove that you have watched the film by giving a recap of the plot.
All right, let's do it. Let's prove that we watch Attack the Block, Mikey. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So, it is Guy Fawkes night. Nurse Samantha is mugged by a gang of street teens. Their names are Pest, Dennis, Jerome, Biggs with a Z, and their leader, Moses. Suddenly, during this mugging, a meteorite crashes into a nearby car and Samantha is able to escape. And Moses, who is the teen gang leader, searches the wrecked car when out of nowhere his face is scratched by an alien creature that was in the meteorite.
The creature runs, the gang chases it, and they kill it. Thinking the alien corpse would be worth a lot of money, the gang takes it to a weed dealer named Ron and his boss, Hi-Hats. Ron and Hi-Hats agree to keep the corpse with them, and Hi-Hats makes Moses his newest drug runner.
Up in the sky, more meteorites are falling to Earth, and the gang psych themselves up to go fight even more aliens since the last time was so fun, I guess. However, the aliens they find this time are different. They're larger, a lot bigger, with huge glowing teeth and claws. When the gang sees them, they run away immediately and into two policemen who have been guiding Samantha to identify who her muggers are, and she points out Moses, and he is arrested.
The aliens follow Moses and the crew and kill the arresting officers. Samantha and Moses are trapped in the police van, but Dennis runs in and saves them. They drive away from the aliens and crash right into, wouldn't you know it, Hi-Hats' car. Samantha runs away, and Moses and the gang confront Hi-Hats and his henchmen.
But suddenly they're attacked by the pursuing aliens, and Biggs has to hide in a trash can, and Pest is bitten in the leg. They make it to Samantha's place where she bandages Pest's leg, and an alien smashes through Samantha's door, and Moses kills it with a samurai sword, very impressively. So now Samantha realizes that not only were the kids telling the truth about the aliens, but the threat is absolutely terrifying, so she decides to go with them.
They decide to go to Tia's place, and she has a security gate that will keep them all safe. Unfortunately, the alien attacks from outside and enter through the windows. Dennis is decapitated in this fight. The girls think the boys brought the aliens with them, so they of course kick them out of the apartment. Hi-Hats and his henchmen then attack the gang, only to be chased by an alien. Hi-Hats and his henchmen run into an elevator, and when that elevator reaches its destination, the sole survivor is our boy Hi-Hats.
The gang uses fireworks as a distraction to escape. Jerome is sadly lost in the smoke and killed by an alien. Eventually, they arrive at Ron's weed apartment, since they have nowhere else to go, but sadly, Hi-Hats is waiting for them. He thinks that crashing the police van into his car is reason enough to kill Moses during this alien invasion where a lot more important things are happening. However, Hi-Hats is so absorbed in his revenge that he doesn't notice the alien behind him. That kills him before he can kill anybody else. The remaining members of the gang, along with Samantha and Brewis, who is one of Ron's customers, who is also a zoology student, retreat into the weed room with the alien corpse.
Always good to have a zoology student around with you. In the weed room, Brewis notices a bioluminescent mark on Moses' jacket under the ultraviolet light. Brewis wonders if the aliens are like spores that drift through space until they find a new home planet. Moses and his gang killed the female, and its pheromones were now stuck to Moses, which attracted the males in the first place. With this info, the gang can now formulate a plan. Samantha is free of the alien pheromones, so she can sneak past the aliens and turn on the gas in Moses' apartment. And there, they can have the final battle.
Samantha is able to do her part of the plan, leaving the final part to Moses. Moses straps the corpse of the small female alien to his back and runs into the gas-filled apartment with all the aliens following after him. He throws the corpse into the apartment, and all of the other aliens take the bait, and he uses the last of his fireworks to blow them all up while he narrowly escapes out a window.
After the cops show up and the threat is gone, Moses, Pest, Brewis, and Ron are arrested and held responsible for the deaths and damage to the block. The cops ask Samantha to identify Moses and his gang so they can arrest them and pin all of the blame on him, but Samantha says no. They're my neighbors. They protected me. Moses and Pest hear the residents of the block cheering for Moses and his brave actions, and that is the end of the movie. Woo!
Phew! Let's attack the block, Mikey.
Good, you have watched the film. Now you must prove your understanding and discuss its themes.
Attack the Block. So just to reiterate some of the terminology used in this movie, the block is this big apartment building, right?
Yes.
That they all live in. And so when Samantha is mugged at the beginning of the film, she doesn't realize that the guys mugging her, the kids, live in the same apartment building as her.
Yeah, they're her
so
neighbors.
they're all neighbors.
And they don't realize it either.
It's very sad.
Yeah. And even at one point later, they say, like, oh, if we knew you were in the block, if we knew you were our neighbor, we wouldn't have mugged you. She's like, well, what, that would have been okay to just mug any other person then, too?
Hey, here's the idea. How about you just don't mug?
Yeah. But maybe just don't.
Everybody's running around mugging. Maybe just don't mug.
Maybe just don't do that.
So this movie is very funny.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very funny, and it is scary. Like, I think that the monsters that they show are, like, a cool visual thing, more so than they are, like, a scary thing. They're kind of just, like, rabid beasts, but they look so cool. They're, like, pure black silhouettes come to life. And their teeth are all that comes out. It looks like a comic book drawing that somehow has form and depth to it.
Yeah, they purposefully used CG to kind of mask them to make them just look like essentially a black hole. Like, there is no reflection on their surface or anything. You can kind of get that they're furry or, like, fuzzy, but it's like negative space. They wanted them to be unearthly in this very subtle way that I think is such a cool choice, especially when their teeth and claws are glowing like blue, so it makes them stand out even more. It's a very cool idea.
It's something that always kind of bugs me about aliens in movies and TV, just kind of in general. The idea that they're always something we can sort of understand. They're like reptilian, or they're like green and slimy, but they still have like skin and arms and everything. Like, I've always heard it said that like the Native Americans didn't recognize Columbus's ships when they were first sailing onto the shores of what is now America. Like, they just looked out and saw the horizon because these ships were so foreign to them, and they couldn't understand that their brains just literally didn't comprehend what was going on. And I feel like that's what aliens are going to be. They're going to be so different from us that we're not going to be able to even fit them into, like, they're not going to be humanoid. They're not going to even, like, probably make sounds out of their mouth like we do. They're going to be negative space, and our brains won't be able to comprehend it. And I think that's something, like, very cool that this movie pulls off, that, like, the aliens truly feel alien in a way that not a lot of movies pull off, in a way that satisfies me, Mikey McCollor.
Well, and that's pretty impressive. They were able to satisfy you in this regard, Mikey.
Yeah, very few people do.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the director's pride and joy.
There is a very funny moment in this movie where right after Samantha's robbed in one of the very first scenes, she's kind of standing around and you know, chilly and crying, and she's approached by this old woman who's just like, "Oh, come on, dear, I'll take you home." And I just thought it would be funny if that woman robbed her too. She just kept getting robbed all movie.
It's just her character trait. Continuously robbed woman.
What is it about me that makes people think I'm so robbable?
Could it be like the Louis Vuitton jacket I'm wearing?
Yeah, it didn't help that she was wearing a gold chain with dollar signs on it and a tag that said, "This necklace is worth money."
You know, somebody should have told her maybe to be a little less, flaunty with her money, but
dial it back. I think we should talk a little bit about the cast of this movie. It's like the two leads, Samantha, who is robbed, and Moses, who plays the leader of the gang. It's frickin' Doctor Who and Star Wars.
Yes.
It's the stars
Finn.
of those two things.
Finn, also known as Star Wars, yes.
Yeah, that guy, he plays the character Star Wars. Finn Star Wars.
It's baby John Boyega.
So, John Boyega, around 17 or 18, when he's filming this role, playing a 15-year-old, part of his character is that he looks older. He's really good.
Yeah, he's perfect. His performance is my favorite one in this. He does a really good job, like, setting himself up. You can tell, like, why he got scouted to be Finn, to do other leading roles.
Yeah, I would have had him play Star Wars too. He's a character who, like, keeps making mistakes and feels like he's making everything worse for everybody and is trying so hard. But, I mean, the movie opens with him just, like, brutally kicking the shit out of a, admittedly not cute alien, but, like...
Yeah.
His reaction is
to... The alien scratched him first, I guess.
That's true. That was something that bothered me this entire movie. John Boyega gets slashed in the face in, like, one of the first scenes, and he's got this, like, deep wound on his face the entire movie, and nobody's like, should we tend that? Like, you're gonna have a straight-up scar on your face, dude. Yeah,
also, like, what sort of alien parasites just crawled into your face from that
I'm more worried about his attractive face, because he's a good-looking man.
The scar will make him look more rugged, Mikey.
Roxy, do you have any scars?
I do, and it's a really stupid scar.
Did your school slice you when you get something wrong in the spelling bee? What is a stupid scar?
That would be very threatening, I'd say. I was maybe around 7 years old, I think. I was on this slide that was shaped like a blue whale, maybe 5 foot tall. It was at a water park. I slipped, hit the underside of my chin. It bled a lot. Didn't really hurt that much. Like, I remember all the adults around me freaking out because of all the blood. It's like a head wound. Head wounds bleed a lot more than, like, how bad they kind of tend to be.
I watch pro wrestling, so I do know that.
Okay, yes, of course. So it was just, I have this dumb scar on the underside of my chin that nobody can see, luckily, unless you're really looking for it. I guess everybody knows now. My greatest, darkest secret.
Yeah, I'm going to peer at it next time I see you. I have one scar above my right eyebrow.
That's kind of a cool place to have a scar.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. It was at the end. Must have been right before Attack the Block came out. It was the end of 2010, which was the worst year of my life.
Oh no, what?
I was working for minimum wage at a dog bakery. I didn't have a car. I was pretty new to Los Angeles. I was just scared and poor and constantly shivering for whatever reason. No. And so New Year's Eve, I go to this party. I get very drunk. One of my best friends is there. And my memory of it is, like, I can see myself, like, talking up this gal. And then I fall forward and I'm going to catch myself on my hands, like, as I'm coming. It's like, I can see this in first person view. Like,
wait, is she, like, in front of you when you're talking to her? Where's this girl? Okay, so you're, like, falling at her.
I didn't fall on her. She, like, I mean, maybe she got out of the way. I don't remember where she went.
Step out of the way and let you fall.
And I fell, and at the last second, when my hands hit the ground, I whipped them behind me into, like, a soaring eagle pose and took the ground full force with my right eyebrow.
I mean, I guess it's a drunken thought that you had, I guess, that thought this was the way to do this.
So I don't last much longer with consciousness. I wake up at this friend's house. I have a big Band-Aid over my head. Ruined his New Year. And then when it came time, like, I was talking, his mom had some, like, medical training, and she was, like, kind of walking me through the steps to avoid getting a scar.
His mom was there?
No, we called her.
Oh, okay. Still, though.
And I was like, you know what? I kind of want a scar there. I want the last day of 2010 to have left a scar. I want to physically carry a scar from this horrible year of my horrible life and just, like, have this memento of it forever. And I thought that was very cool. And I still think it's cool. And I'm glad I did it. And I still have it.
Wait, so then when you look at it, it'll be a memento of what not to do or something?
Of just like, hey, you lived through this. You physically have a scar of a year that scarred you. And if you can make it through that, you can make it through anything.
Okay.
And I look at it at the gym all the time, and then I finish my push-ups.
See, look at you. You've got, like, a fucking backstory that's, like, cool and thematic behind your scar, and I just slipped and busted my chin.
It happens.
Sometimes it just is like that.
Roxy, what would you say is the big idea of this movie?
Oh, man. I mean, there's some very overt things they're dealing with, obviously, with, like, classism and kind of, like, prejudice between people in lower incomes and what you kind of, like, expect from certain kids, like, lower income kids, which, you know, there's that going on. and then just sort of expectations. So people expect these kids to be no good or just like doing damage, and they're actually like the heroes in the movie who are trying to actually do something about it when everyone else is locking their doors or not really, comprehending the situation or thinking about how they can do anything about it.
Yeah, it really does feel to me like a movie that is about like us versus them and keeps shifting who the us is and who the them is.
Yeah, because we do see, like, we start off from Samantha's perspective, who is the person getting mugged, and you think that she's our main character, and then it swaps to the perspective of the kids who mugged her, then they're your main character, and then it's more like, oh, we've got these two split perspectives where we're kind of seeing how each of them approach these situations. Especially like with that part, which we talked about a little bit earlier, where they say, oh, if we knew that you were our neighbor, we wouldn't have mugged you. And she's like, you just shouldn't be mugging in the first place. Like, what? And it kind of shows how they've been sort of conditioned to kind of expect the world to be a certain way and think they have to kind of maneuver within this very small space, I guess.
There's a really nice moment that I think adds to that. Like, there's the moment where they said, like, if we knew you lived in the block, we wouldn't have mugged you. And Samantha's like, well, you shouldn't mug anybody in general. And they also later the kids ask Samantha if she has a boyfriend. And she says, yes, he's out in another nation helping children or something. And they say, like, why can't he help the children in Britain?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, good point.
And she literally doesn't have an answer for that. She's just like,
Yeah. It's this question of, like, who do we consider part of our team? Who do we, like, they have defined their team as the block. And so when they attack Samantha, they have violated their own code on accident. But the whole point is that, like, our codes are gibberish. We're all on the same page. We all want the same things. And in the very first scene, that old lady who I wish had robbed Samantha.
in Mikey's recut of the film.
She's just constantly, she's getting robbed by the monsters.
They got a little knife.
The old lady says about the kids who mugged her, they're just like, she says, they're fucking monsters. And Samantha's like, yeah, they sure are. And to see Samantha go from that arc of they're fucking monsters to they're my neighbors. Like, I think that movie is like, they're all our neighbors. I wonder if it goes so far as to say that, like, we're not that different from the monsters because they just want to bang. And what do we want to do? The answer is bang.
Well, it's also the idea of having a universal threat for them all to rally around. Like, a universal, definitely non-human threat to make all the humans kind of go, like, what the fuck were we arguing about in the first place? Like, that's not important. We need to actually, like, just think about protecting each other, because that's how it should be.
So maybe we could use this movie as a lesson. I don't think this movie wasn't as preachy as I'm making it out to be, but as we're talking about it, I'm like, was this movie preaching at me? Just like, hey, we're all each other's neighbors here on this big blue marble. I kind of want to shove Joe Cornish.
Shove him where?
Like, we get it. All right, people, we're all good.
Shove him into the River Thames.
I guess we do need to learn that constantly over and over. We are kind of a destructive species.
Yeah, that's I think that's something that's always on my mind, which maybe is why I went to that. But yeah, I think he's definitely trying to say something, but also trying to have fun with it. Like you said, there's comedy in it. There's a lot of action. There are, like, scares. The monsters are very threatening. They're very scary. There's parts like where their one friend gets lost in the smoke after they throw out the fireworks and just gets kind of, like, killed off screen, which is really sad because you've been, like, with him the whole time.
Right.
And some of his friends didn't even, like, realize he was gone until later.
I hope I don't die off screen.
I hope you don't either, Mikey, and I hope
you're
that
there
for
to...
everybody listening, including me too.
I hope you're there to witness my death. And I hope you go forth to tell the tale.
Mikey, I want you to live forever, so I never have to do that.
The odds of that happening when we keep coming into this scary basement that is full of pinheads is very low.
I mean, but there's teamwork, Mikey, teamwork. We work together so we don't die in the scary basement.
Right, but all that is to say, when I do finally falter, I hope you will.
Okay.
Write a book about me.
I will tell the tales of your sacrifice in your life.
You never really die off screen if somebody writes a book about you.
It's true. That's
the
true.
more you know.
Then what if I sell it as a book, then sell a screenplay, then I get a ton of money, and then just you get to be a movie, Mikey?
Oh, don't do that. I would be jealous of that. The book I don't give a shit about, but if you sold a screenplay before I did because I was dead, I would be infuriated.
You come from beyond the grave to haunt me. Hey, that's how I know ghosts were real. So I'd have to antagonize your ghost so then you haunt me. So
That's
then I'm
very
gonna write I'm gonna write a screenplay, Mikey.
That's very sweet of you, Roxy.
And together we can prove ghosts are real.
I would love it.
I think another thing this movie kind of touches on is that actions have consequences. So, like, killing the alien at the beginning brings everything down on their block, essentially, even though they don't really realize that's what happened. Mm-hmm. So I think, especially with the way Moses kind of gets blame pinned on him, even when they go to, like, the girl's apartment, they don't know for sure what is going on. They don't know that Moses has the pheromones that's driving all the monsters to come with them. They're just kind of used to thinking that a bad thing happened, it's Moses's fault. So they just sort of their go-to is to blame him. And he feels that. He feels that responsibility. Because maybe it's because he's the center of these kids here. So, you know, when something does go wrong, it might be perceived as his fault, but it's just because he's kind of in the leading role with these guys.
Yeah, that is kind of a nice thing that this movie is doing, where Moses is bringing them around, but he doesn't know it. And it is within his control, but it's also not. Like, I don't know if his reaction to an alien slashing his face is necessarily that out of line to beat the shit out of it. The fact that he gets coated in the pheromone and is bringing them along, it almost mirrors the way that you get brought up in a culture. And like, of course you're that economically disadvantaged. You start lashing out at people and mugging people because you have to survive. Yes, you're doing bad things, but it's also kind of not your fault and sort of just a situation you find yourself in.
Yeah.
And poor Moses has internalized that and taken that in and sees it as a reflection of himself, as opposed to a circumstance he ended up in. And I think his arc, where he gets to, at the end, like, be celebrated, is really nice, because he deserves to celebrate himself. And that's kind of the twist ending of this, that he's only 15 and he lives alone. It's like, he has a lot to be proud of that he was able to survive in that context. Like, he should be proud of himself. And now other people are seeing something about him that maybe he didn't see and needed somebody else to mirror for him. This idea that you should be proud of yourself, and just staying alive was an accomplishment for him. It's really sweet.
Yeah, he's defying his own preset expectations about how he thought he was no good, which I think is great. And especially, yeah, like you said, with everybody rallying around, and that's why Samantha's character change as well, like, feeds into that as well, because then she's supporting him at that point. Exactly. And building him up that way, too.
Yeah, this movie needs more hugs.
It does. It does. Not from the monsters, though. They can,
yeah, they should not
pointy.
hug anyone.
So, Mikey, do you have a question for me today?
Boy, do I. Okay, we were talking about blocks, right? You have this giant apartment building. It's huge. It's full. Roxy, what's your perfect block? Who are your neighbors? How big are the rooms? What's in the attic?
Goodness.
What is in your perfect block?
Ooh, man, I feel like if I really sat down and thought about this, it would be probably, like, way too extensive and detailed. But let's see, a short kind of, like, gut reaction version of this would be sort of like an art commune where nobody has to pay rent, and meals are just kind of like, there's a cafeteria thing where everybody can kind of hang out, eat food together. Everybody's got their own space, some communal working areas. I like the situation where they have it in a square, and then there's, like, a cool, like, park area in the middle. So everybody, even if they're looking out from their windows, they've got, like, kind of a cool park area. Gotta have a pool roof. Pool on the roof.
A roof pool is so much cooler than a backyard pool.
Yeah, right? I mean, you can just look up at the stars. Lay on your back, and it's like there's nothing there, even though you're in the middle of the city.
How cool is a roof pool?
And what about a giant projector up on the roof as well, so you can have movie nights, dark nights? That'd be super cool.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
That sounds tight.
What about you, Mikey? What would be your ideal block?
I've always thought it would be cool to have a room in an apartment building that you could let a Disneyland ride designer just kind of use as a sketch pad.
Ooh, that sounds amazing.
He would just kind of go in and he'd be like, I'm thinking about this kind of ride at Disneyland. So what if there was just like a roller coaster that instead of doing a dip, did like a sharp up and then a slow down. Like, and then you would just build a little roller coaster in there and you and your friends could try it out. And then he would like leave. It would have to be an empty apartment building. So he could just go and use all the different rooms. So then he would just leave it there. So you'd have your own little apartment building. It'd be like one room that's just full of balls, like a ball pit. And you just open that door and fall in.
Do people live there also? Or it's just like an amusement park ride?
There are 4 apartments.
Okay.
You live in one?
Oh, me? Okay, yes, I do. I thought you meant like subjective you, like you, Mikey.
Oh.
Okay, I get to live here.
Yeah,
Cool.
I live in one. You live in one.
Yeah.
Shigeru Miyamoto lives in one.
Okay, cool. Yes, roommates.
And this bodybuilder I've heard of named Michael Hearn.
There's two. There's Michael and Mikey.
No, Mike O'Hearn.
Mike O'Hearn, okay.
Yeah. We know about him because my friend Michael Hearn is on the other podcast I do, and we found him online. But I just want somebody strong there who can kind of like be the muscle, who can like keep out the evil monsters that I assume will still be following us from this scary basement. I need a little protection.
You've just described a sitcom, Mikey, that I wish we were living right now.
Oh, and Shigeru Miyamoto is the one who's making all the things. He's the one who is designing these little rides and fun attractions that we're hanging out on and going.
Hell yeah. Can he introduce me to Mario?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he and Mario are in love. He created Mario.
Don't tell Peach.
He created Mario to date him. What? Weird. Roxy.
Mikey, how likely
on a scale.
Yeah, you go.
Roxy, on a scale of 1 to 9, because 10 does not exist in the scary basement, how likely is what happened in Attack the Block to happen in real life?
In real life, I'd say if aliens are real, alien invasion, 50%, sure. And 50% they can be weird, carnivorous, horny aliens that just want to take over everything after sailing on solar wind. So I'm going to say a 5.
5. Okay, so trending a little more likely.
Yes, more likely than less likely. What do you say, Mikey?
I'm going to say 1.
A 1? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because in this movie, Samantha changes her mind about people, and nobody changes their mind about anyone.
Oh, I see.
People don't change.
Mikey, no. Take that back.
We're unfortunately set in our ways. We are stubborn, diseased assholes, and we make an assumption, and then to change our mind would be to assume that we are wrong, and human beings are incapable of that, so I'm saying a 1.
Make you gotta have hope. I can be wrong. You can be wrong. Except that you can be wrong right now.
I won't do it.
God damn it.
It is time to collect your souls. I mean, it is time to collect your bets.
Well, okay, Mikey, we made a bet last week. Do you remember?
Boy, do I.
That we made a bet.
Uh-huh.
The bet was, how many people do weed and Attack the Block?
It is so cute when you call it do weed.
How would you say it then? How would you say it, Mikey? Cool guy does
How many
weed all the
characters
time.
puff on a doobie? That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's much more cool and natural sounding than what I just said.
Neither of us have ever done drugs in our life.
Yeah, 420, man.
Fucking squares over here.
How many people are meet with Snoop Dogg? Can you say that?
He seems cool. He seems like a cool guy. I said there would be 10 on-screen drug uses. Roxy, you said 5. I counted.
Yes, you counted. What was your count?
The actual answer is 9.
9. Okay. Yes, you were correct. So.
Well, okay. Here's a question though. Did we say how many characters do drugs on screen, or how many total drug uses were there on screen?
Okay, that's right. Okay, so there was. Let's see. I think there were 6 characters, but 9 instances.
Yeah. So if they're... I mean, listen, I have it written down that we wrote how many characters do drugs on screen. There are 6 characters. You said 5. You win the bet.
Okay, we're each like one away, though. I did it. I beat you this week.
Yeah. Way to go.
Yeah, a way to go me.
Way to frickin' go.
What, you gonna try and guilt me into it? I'm elated that I won this week.
Why did I say that like my aunt in Minnesota? I was like, way to go, honey.
You're working on your impression?
No, not of her.
Well, apparently you are. Okay, so next up we got a new segment, which is Phobia Power Rankings. So there is a place that will give you random phobias to generate. And then we can rank them.
Okay, so let's make our power rankings,
Okay.
1 through 5, and be ready to defend it.
Okay. Is 5 the most scary, or is 1 the most scary?
1 is the most scary.
Okay.
And we'll go backwards.
All right. I got my list.
I've got my list. And what a list it is. Real quick, let's go through the phobias. The 5 we were picking from, the 5 we were ranking. Taphophobia, the fear of being in the grave while alive. Apophobia, the fear of bees. Aquaphobia, fear of the late 90s band Aqua, who did I'm a Barbie Girl in a Barbie World.
Mikey. Please say this.
You said that just disheartened. You're like, no, keep it serious. No, it's the fear of water. Aviatophobia, which is the fear of flying, and pyrophobia, which is the fear of fire. Roxy, what'd you have at number 5?
So number 5, least scary, was fear of bees.
Fear of bees, really?
Yeah, I think fear of bees is least scary because you don't really encounter them very often, and also in reality, bees are friends. They're just trying to do their bee thing.
You've never seen My Girl?
They're not very dangerous unless you have like an allergy. And when they sting you, they die. So like they're not trying to sting you. They don't want to sting you. If they do it,
That is a great point. I totally forgot that kid had a bee allergy. I was like, oh no, but bees can kill you. I was like, maybe they can't.
yeah, only if you have a bee allergy are bees scary, which I do not. So they are not scary to me. What about you?
I put at number 5 aviatophobia, fear of flying.
Really?
'Cause if you're flying, you're probably safe. You're buckled up in an airplane.
But
Statistically,
like having to deal with that fear when you are trapped in an airplane,
yeah, it's never hit me.
I guess is how I thought of it.
I think it's fine.
Especially if you have to like travel while using it. I guess are we talking about how scary we think these are for us personally, or just like in the broader context then?
That's a great point. I think probably how much they scare us personally.
Okay.
Because I'm just like not afraid of flying. I think I'm safe forever.
Okay. Gotcha.
It would be very funny right now to smash cut to my grave.
Mikey died in a plane crash.
And for whatever reason, they carved that in my gravestone.
to make sure nobody would forget. Take it lightly.
What'd you have at number 4?
Number 4, I had fear of fire.
Really?
I don't feel like it's that scary because you don't have to encounter it really. Like unless you're cooking on a stove, but you could have an electric stove if you're afraid of fire. So I feel like you could get around that very easily.
Oh.
Modern day humans don't have to interact with fire that much. So
That's why it's so scary.
I feel like if you had that fear, it wouldn't be that bad to deal with. But yeah.
It's out to get you, the fire.
I think I put mine in terms of like threat level, a lot of this. In some ways.
Honestly, I feel like that's still the same.
And like how much you have to deal with it on a daily basis, though, I guess, as well.
Yeah, if you're a firefighter.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't be afraid of fire.
You shouldn't have this. Yeah. I said at number 4, aquaphobia.
Okay.
Because the water's fine, you just swim up.
But what if you have to drink it every day and you're terrified of it?
I also did literally just say in my what is the place I don't want to be in was a water place.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing where it's like, you sure about that?
Oh, I've been bought off for my power rankings. Big water has gotten my pockets.
Getting that sponsor money.
What'd you put at number 3?
So number 3, I had fear of flying.
Fear of flying.
Because I feel like humans travel through planes so often now that if you ever wanted to like go anywhere, you would have to deal with that. Which being trapped up in the air when you're terrified of being trapped up in the air sounds like a bad time.
Well, I'll tell you my number 3, and I'll tell you, I think my number 3 should be my number 5 under your criteria. My number 3 was tapophobia, fear of being in the grave while alive.
Really? Okay.
Because you're never going to be in the grave when you're alive.
Yeah.
Graves are for living.
But I feel like that's one of those existential fears that you are always going to be afraid of that you can't really.
Here's my thing with being alive in the grave.
Okay.
I feel like I could get out.
Okay.
I feel like I read one article one time, and even as we're sitting here right now, I am not able to remember any specifics.
Cool. Sounds like it was a great informative article.
Oh, you gotta take your shirt off and put your shirt over your head.
And that does what?
I think that, like, keeps you from, when all the dirt comes in, like, it doesn't...
You can, like, also probably get part of an air pocket, too. I could see that.
Yeah. I should reread that article. But yeah, I feel like I'd be fine. I feel like I'd figure it out.
I feel like the fear of death, no matter what, who isn't afraid of dying?
Fucking this guy.
I guess so.
You can tell because I'm so into extreme sports.
It's true. Like, you were like the girls in The Descent. We all know this.
I go climbing in places and lie to the park rangers about where I am.
So what was your number 2?
My number 2 was apophobia, fear of bees. I'm so afraid of bees.
Really?
They're just a monster. They're just designed to hurt us.
They're not. Wasps are. Bees are fine.
Bees also sting. They're big and bumbly.
They don't want to sting you, though. They only do it if they feel threatened.
Roxy, what if they got in your eyes?
I mean, I have glasses, so they would probably be less likely to get into my eyes, but...
You are not afraid of bees whatsoever.
I'm not! They're friendly little critters who are just staying in their own lane, making honey that we harvest and keeping plants from living. Bees help our ecosystem. I guess I'm a big stan for bees, turns out.
Did you play The Last of Us 2?
I have not.
Okay.
Do all the bees disappear in that game?
No, there's nothing to do with bees. There is a character that was a bit of a prophet.
Oh, okay.
For that, like, they tend to worship after the world ends because of whatever she was saying beforehand. And I was just thinking you would probably be that person if the bees ever take over. You will become our Madonna. We will look unto you with such respect.
That's me.
What was your number 2?
My number 2 was 5, fear of water, for 2 reasons, because of my fear of the ocean I just said. And then also, if you were afraid of water, but you need water to live, that's just like a daily terror show for you.
Right.
If you're afraid of that, I can't even
It's like
imagine.
If you're afraid of Chucky, but you live with a Chucky.
And like, you wouldn't want to take a shower, which is gross. That sucks. Showers are very relaxing.
Oh, I never thought about how this would harm your social life.
Yeah, and also just, you shouldn't be dirty. It's going to make you sick. Among other things, so.
That is a pretty bad fear now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
What was your number 1?
My number 1 was fear in the grave while being alive. Just because I feel like, how do you rationalize or get over that? I feel like you're always going to be afraid of dying. I feel like any of these other things, you could make peace with them, but I feel like you can't make peace with death the same way.
I just feel like Kill Bill did such a disservice. There's that scene where she like has her rigid fingers and like
she just
does a little punch.
Smashes her way
I'm just
out.
like, yeah, I'll do that.
All right, that way.
It's probably much scarier. My number 1 was pyrophobia because I don't want to be on fire.
You don't want to be on fire. It's valid. I also do not want to be on fire, so...
It's my number 1. I would hate... Listen, I hate being hot just, like, in my room, like, over the summers. I'm just like, ugh, sweating like a dog over here. This is the worst feeling. Like, to die that way is the worst thing I can imagine.
How do you live in LA with that? I hate being hot. I'll live in LA.
It's just right now that... Listen... September, October, November, the greatest months of the year. All downhill.
And then every other month of the year is a
very
burning, boiling nightmare.
Mm-hmm. A true nightmare. Well, okay, so your top 5, run through them again real quick.
So least scary is bees, because bees are friends. Then fear of fire, because I don't think you interact with it much. Then fear of flying, which again, don't interact with it much, but interact with it more than fire. Then 5, fear of water. And 1, fear of being in the grave while being alive. Should I be saying the names? The traptophobia?
Yeah. My first listing, I wrote down the names and was like, I'm not going to remember these.
Yeah.
Mine were number 5, flying. Who cares? We're safe. Number 4, water. Who cares? Swim up. Number 3, grave. Who cares? Point your fingers up and make a fist.
Punch your way through.
Number 2, bees. Their whole point is hurting me.
They're not. Their whole point is making honey. They honey.
Have a sword
and pollinate flowers
in their bottoms
that will kill them if they use it. So it's always a last resort. They try not to hurt you as well.
They're kamikaze pilots. And I'm scared of them every second. And my number 1 was fire. Gotcha. Pyrophobia. Because, I mean, God, you get lit on fire, you're having a rough day.
I'm interested to see how other people rank this, whether it's in comments or messaging us personally on Twitter.
Yeah, and let us know who you think, whose list do you think was closest? That's what I want to know.
Oh, okay, yeah, there you go. Rank it. What you think?
Wow, great game, Roxy.
Hell yeah.
Oh God, it's him. It's DemonBot. Oh,
DemonBot's here. Should I hide behind this box?
Yeah, it couldn't hurt.
Okay. Tell me when he's gone.
Congratulations, you have managed to retain your souls for another week. Next week, you must watch the 1979 film Alien, directed by Ridley Scott and starring Sigourney Weaver, Tom Skerritt, and Ian Holm. If you do not, your souls will be forfeit and I shall claim your bodies as my own.
So, Roxy, we got our work cut out for us.
Man. Okay,
Gotta
I'll
watch
come out
that
from behind this box.
Yeah, get out from behind the box.
Okay, fine.
Especially because the box is full of larvae.
Oh, I was
Scary.
focused on DemonBot, so I didn't see that. Now you wrecked it, because now I saw it, and I hate it.
Yeah, you got,
Anyway,
listen, Roxy, I
What?
keep telling you, you gotta assume everything in the scary basement is, in fact, scary. Every time. No choice.
But I like some scary things, like bats are cute. They're not scary.
That's why there are no bats in here.
God damn it. That makes a lot of sense.
They're all man bats
Oh, no, I'm not a fan of man bats.
from Batman. So we gotta watch Alien next
Yes,
week.
I'm actually really excited about this. I love Alien.
It sounds like a great
It's so
movie. I
good.
haven't seen it.
It's so good.
What do you say we make a bet?
Okay, let's make a bet. You got,
Here's the thing.
You got a bet?
I know that there are a ton of Alien pieces of product out there. There's a ton of Alien movies. There's a ton of Alien comic books. There's a ton of Alien video games, especially.
Yeah.
Roxy, how many total pieces of Alien media between movies, TV shows, and video games are there out there? And comic books.
I am going to guess an even 40. 40 is my guess.
40.
40.
39, then 40.
Yes.
I'm going
What
to
do
go
you
a little lower.
think?
I'm going to say 30.
30. Okay.
But
All right.
the bet is
That's
locked
like 10,
in.
10 in between.
The pact has been sealed. I mean, the bet is confirmed. Whoever is closest to the number of tie-in media products for the Alien franchise shall be declared the winner. The loser shall have to correctly spell the word tether 100 times and mail the list to the developers of the Aliens Colonial Marines video game.
All right. Well, Mikey, we talked about a lot of things today, but one of those things we didn't talk about was what was making us happy this week. So, Mikey, what made you happy this week?
Well, this week, outside of the scary basement, I stumbled on a show that I truly love. Roxy, are you watching Vanderpump Rules?
I don't even know what that is. You gonna tell
Roxy,
me?
it's the best show anyone ever made.
Uh-oh.
It is a show
Uh-oh.
about the hot, sexy young Los Angeles, between early 20s to mid 30s people working at a restaurant called Sir. And Roxy,
Sir?
they're friends, but they lie to each other. They cheat on each other. They date each other's exes. They date each other's current boyfriends and girlfriends. It is so funny. And it's led by two characters, Jax and Stassi, who are the most
Wait,
fascinating human beings I've ever seen
What
in
are
my
these
life.
names?
Jax and Stassi.
Does he spell his name with an X?
Yeah.
J-A-X?
Roxy, it's not his real
XXX?
name.
3 X's?
They are the most toxic, horrifying people. And I want to watch every second of their lives. I want to just learn everything. Stassi is she does the least horrible things. She doesn't ever cheat. She's the only one who doesn't cheat. She doesn't specifically stab her friends in the back or anything, but she's so mean all the time.
What the fuck?
She's so mean. She
These
says the
characters
meanest
sound
thing.
atrocious, Mikey.
But she's very funny about it. And it's just the things she says to people are whatever the meanest thing you can think of in the moment, she just says it. And then it's to her friends. And Jax, he just constantly lies for no reason. Usually because he's cheated on his girlfriend or is cheating with somebody else. And he just says things that are just he can look you in the eye and just lie. It's so funny. It's so good. I can't recommend it enough. Vanderpump Rules. It rules.
Okay, cool. I don't think I'm going to be checking it out. That sounds like exactly not the type of show for me. But, Mikey, I bet you turned some people listening on to maybe their new favorite show.
God, I hope so.
The thing that made me happy this week was a big surprise video game related. I bet you couldn't see that coming,
You love
huh?
video games.
I do, it's true. But despite how much I love video games, I had never gotten a platinum trophy before until this week. I got my first platinum trophy ever.
Wow.
Which is
What game?
sweet. It was on Little Nightmares 2, actually.
Hell yeah.
And so many of the achievements were just fun, like finding little secrets within the world and the setting that were just really neat. It wasn't challenge-based, really, I don't know, beat the game in an hour and don't die or something. It wasn't something crazy like that. So it was a lot of fun to, like, look for little secrets and everything in it. It was a very fun platinum trophy to get. I'd love to do it all over again.
Wow. You can.
Just delete all my data.
Just delete your PlayStation. And it comes back.
Just throw it out the window and get new ones. That's how you do it.
Now, Roxy, every week, DemonBot hires a new guard to keep us in the scary basement.
Yeah, boy, does he.
And each week we have to think of a plan to get out. I have a plan for this week. Are you ready for it?
Okay. Yes. What is it?
I'm going to put nails in between my fingers. Like Wolverine? Like, did you ever do this when you were a kid? Like, with knives? You'd put, like, 3 knives in between your fingers and make a fist? And it was like you were Wolverine?
Not with knives, specifically, because those are quite dangerous, but I feel like I've done that before with something.
I've got a bunch of nails here.
Okay, cool. Are they, curse nails? They like...
No, they're just regular, because I brought them from home.
Oh, okay, good. That's smart thinking.
They're long.
Don't use anything down here. It's gonna fucking curse you.
It's covered in larva.
Ugh.
I'm going to put these nails in my fingers and I'm going to punch at whatever is guarding the door there. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Which means you're going first. Okay.
It's a Nosferatu! Don't worry, I'll hit him with my nail hand!
What? This is a vampire!
I put the nails in backwards!
God damn it, Mikey! Okay, well at least
I
now
with the flat end and stabbed myself in the palm!
Mikey, he's catching up here! Let me drag you up upstairs.
My palm reader is not gonna like this!